In this video, we're going to fix up the enemy shooting and fix up probably a few long-term bugs that you may have encountered with this enemy one. Hopefully you persevered, or maybe you asked me in the comments. I know a lot of my students have asked me about these bugs, and I didn't encounter them, but I haven't been doing major testing or anything. So it's good. We're doing some testing, we've done some trialing, and we're going to fix those bugs in this video as well. So the bugs where like you shoot an enemy and they eventually stand back up again. I know I fixed one of them, but it's going to happen again and again. So we're going to add a few things into our code for this video here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start at the top here. This is our enemy basic grunt. We're going to add one thing to it, which is going to be a timer. I'm going to rename this timer to be shoot timer. And I'm going to set its wait time to 2.5 and auto start. Now you might want to set that to a random number in code. And if I remember, I'll show you how to do that at the end of this video. But we also want to add a signal here when that time's out. So it opens up this code in here. So if we go down from the top here, we're going to add in a variable here, onReady var ray equals $. Visual. Oh, I've already got that there. My mistake. I've already got that right there. Searching equals false. We're going to have a var shooting equals false and var dead equals false. Now, a better way to do this would actually be using a state machine. But at this point, I've already done most of this, so I'm not going to go back and change the code. I may write some alternative code and put that in a future video and just give you that. And it should just be a matter of copying and pasting as long as you've kind of named things the same as mine. But I'm not making any promises. So what we're going to do is we're going to have three variables here. These are going to be the states that the thing could be in. So if it's dead, that overwrites all other states. It's not coming back from that. In the take damage, that is the same. Nothing changes in there. In the physics process, we are going to put right at the top here, if dead, return. So when we say this, you may have seen code written like this. If dead is equal to true, return. Saying if dead is the exact same thing. So if they're dead, return. And now we're going to do something in here, if searching. We're going to say if searching and not shooting. Okay, so if they're searching and they're not shooting. And then down here, we're going to add something here, if not shooting. Tab that in. Now this is going to mean that our animations won't constantly skip between things. Again, the better way to do this is with an animation state player, but you can't do that with animated sprite 3D, and we could have just used 3D sprite, but then the sprites are all different sizes and they're not in a sprite sheet, so it's a little bit more difficult. So these are just some things that I've had to come up with because of the limitations of animated sprite 3D. In retrospect, I would have taken some time to put these into a sprite sheet, but that's a lot of time, and really I don't have time for that. So let's go ahead, if not shooting, there, and then we've got the normal look at player stuff, and that's all good. So that's not changing. The find path not changing. Now the death one is changing quite a bit. We're going to get rid of these bits here that set the process to false. We are still going to set the collision thing to true, but right at the start, we're going to say dead equals true. If health, yeah, that's all fine. All that's good. Cool. And then we're going to add some code into here in a second. On timeout, that's fine, and that one is fine. The shooter timeout, we're going to say shoot. Okay, and then we're going to put some code in here. We don't actually need the target in this case, but we'll just put it in here. And really, we don't need this at all, so we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that. Okay, it's only going to shoot at the player, so pretty straightforward. Okay, so the shoot timer is going to say if searching. So in other words, if they can see the player and not dead and not shooting. So If for some reason they get stuck in a shooting animation or something happens, we don't want them to shoot again. Okay, so we're going to say animated sprite 3D dot play the shoot animation. We're going to set shooting equals true, and then we're going to do the yield $ animation sprite 3D. But I'm going to do frame changed. The reason for this is because if I look at the animation here, now yours might be slightly different, but the shoot one has that, and then this is the second frame. Okay, so in between these two, when it changes from that to that, is when I actually want the player to take damage. And here's where we'll see how those player stats work. So player stats dot change health. Right at the top, there was another variable I was going to add, which was var player, var damage equals 8. That's how much damage this enemy is going to do. Change health, player damage, but I'm going to say negative. I don't want to give the player the health, so negative there. Then we're going to yield, again, animated sprite, animation finished. I'm going to say shooting equals false. And before I change this, I've got to make sure that they don't shoot a wall if I happen to move behind it in between the frame that they're shooting the, that they're aiming their gun and then shooting the gun. So we're going to say if ray dot is colliding, if ray dot get collider dot is in group, we've done this before, is in group player, then we're going to do this. So we'll just tab that in like that. Oops. All right, so here's how it should work. Player damage. Oh, it's just meant to be damage. So here's how it should work. The enemy sees me, he shoots, I take damage. And as long as he can see me, I take damage. But now he's still shooting. Oops, he went out of my sight range there. That's just shooting, but I'm not taking damage there. And I got behind the wall then, so I didn't take the damage. And then I took the damage, and then he's down. I can walk through it. He's not standing up. He's not going to shoot anymore. That's it. It's done. So that enemy is gone for good. The raycast can stay there. It's just going to pretty much be ignored. Turn off visible collision shapes. Hit play. Again, test that. And so we'll have to add some sounds in at some stage. And a crosshair. The crosshair is something I need to add in. But that's that video done. So that was pretty short, just to improve our enemy AI and get him actually shooting.